I first saw Eastward at a Nintendo Direct some years ago. It was prominently featured, and I remember being immediately intrigued with its 2D graphics and its really attractive pixel artwork. These types of games are my jam. Eastward is developed by an independent studio named Pixpill, based in Shanghai, and looking at their website, it appears that this is the only game they've made. It was published by Chucklefish, that company that had originally handled publishing duties on Stardew Valley. While on the surface appearing like a JRPG, Eastward actually plays like an action-adventure title akin to Zelda. In sum, the 2D pixel art with Zelda-style gameplay made this seem like a solid purchase for me personally. I finally picked the game up like 2 years ago, and as part of my mission to thin out my backlog, I began playing it this fall. And the fall stretched into the winter, and over the course of 2 months, I sunk more than 30 hours into this game, completing it a few days just shy of the end of 2024. I have many thoughts on Eastward. To kick things off on a positive note, there really is a lot of incredible artistry and care put into this game. It might be obvious, but it is worth stating again that Eastward is a visual and auditory feast. Right from the moment you turn it on, you are shown a gorgeously animated intro cutscene, giving a preview of some of the game's story beats and showing you some of the characters and set pieces that you will encounter on your adventure. The intro really gave me these massive Kowloon Walled City vibes. Side note, I randomly started looking up Kowloon Walled City this past year, and it's fascinating. Go check it out. Okay, side note number 2. After I wrote this observation above, I was reviewing Eastward on Wikipedia, and it caught my eye that one of the game's designers directly referenced Kowloon Walled City as part of the inspiration in some of the art design. Anyways, not only are the visuals awesome, but the music is exceptional. There is a heavy synth element, which I find really appealing. Many of the music tracks encapsulate a myriad of emotions ranging from whimsical to the melancholic. The game is split up into 8 chapters with a prologue. The story centers on a character named John who lives as a digger in this underground city called Potrock Isle. He is a father figure to this girl, Sam, who is an overtly enthusiastic child interested in learning about the surface world. After slow, plodding moments in the prologue, more on the pacing issues to come, Sam is expelled from school, and John tries to rescue her. She and John embark on a journey out of the underground to the surface world, and during the exit she encounters some weird doppelganger version of herself called Mother. The surface is plagued by some sort of toxin called the miasma. However, there are people who live in the cities and towns above. Upon reaching the surface, John and Sam make contact with a community in New Dam City with what appears to be a mob-like boss who acts as mayor, and a crew of identical henchmen who support him, but are also very utilitarian. Something about this just seemed really interesting to me. I suppose in an effort to keep things spoiler-free, I won't go much further, but if I'm being honest, the story really didn't grab me that much. The Zelda comparison with Eastward is fitting in one specific aspect. John is a silent protagonist. His and Sam's journey move forward narratively through Sam's dialogue, and she exudes a lot more excitement compared to the bearded, seemingly blank slate facade that is John. At one point in the game, there's a solid, self-aware jab at the silent protagonist trope, which gave me a chuckle. John's weapon of choice at the start of the game is a frying pan. You wield it like a sword, although unlike A Link to the Past, enemies take what feels like way too many hits to topple. You acquire more weapons as you go along, including a gun and a flamethrower. They are admittedly a little clunky, although your main weapon is supplemented by a variety of bombs you can use. Those can be fun. The bombs include detonating bombs and floating bombs and just regular bombs. You are able to upgrade your weapons, and you can purchase items and other gadgets in stores throughout the game. I honestly found myself just using the frying pan more often than not. I played Eastward on the Nintendo Switch, and the projectile weapons were mapped to the right stick, which felt really limited. Sam also has combat abilities, however hers are more magical and she cannot actually kill any enemies, only stun them. She develops a charging ability later on, which is used to defuse these giant bubble shields and to take down machinery and robots and all these other obstacles in the way. All in all, her attacks are more for puzzle solving rather than combat. Being an RPG, you travel from location to location in an effort to progress the story. Eastward gives you the clear markers on where to go next, and I felt for the first 6 chapters I was spending more time simply traveling between towns and progressing the story rather than fighting enemies. Apart from the combat, you will encounter some interesting puzzle sections, in which you have to separate John and Sam and essentially assist each person progress through that section. This was actually one of the more enjoyable aspects of the game for me. I like having to maintain 2 different characters and utilizing each one of their abilities in an effort to progress through a puzzle. The characters in Eastward have a lot of personality, and their stories and dialogue give that lived-in feeling in the various settings of the game. The NPCs all have very distinct art styles, and apart from the new Dam City henchmen, no 2 characters look the same. There's a great sense of world building communicated not only through the characters, but the various settings. This is all bolstered, again, by the amazing pixel art. Eastward really has style and heart, and there are clearly strong positives. But for me, this is where it ends. The game should be my bread and butter, but what kills it for me is the very slow pacing and the lack of gameplay variety. I didn't find the combat sections to be substantial enough to offset the long story portions. I wish I could love this game, but I don't, and I feel bad about that. Eastward is just slow. Too slow for my taste. It's at this point where I address the most first world of problems, my personal crisis I experienced playing this game. It all has to do with time. My goal in starting this YouTube channel was to push myself into finally playing the numerous games that have been accumulating in my gaming library over the past several years. There's an overwhelming abundance of titles out there, and I have often bought games on sale with the hopes of getting to them at some point. If I'm being honest, there are probably titles that I've had for nearly a decade and haven't even touched. And this isn't just on the Switch, I'm talking the Xbox Series X, 3DS, Wii U, and even the PS3. So this channel hopefully allows me to do that, hence the title, Backlog Break. At the same time, I am slowly and to my own chagrin approaching my 40s, a fact that has been blowing my mind as of late. And as a dad of 2 young children and a full-time professional, my time is precious. So when it comes to gaming, I really do not love the idea of slogging through a game when I might only have, at most, an hour or 2 to play it. Funny enough, even before I got married, I essentially stopped playing RPGs like Final Fantasy because I couldn't stomach the amount of time it took to get through them. Furthermore, this issue of time management draws in that often discussed question levied toward game reviews by some of the more annoying types. And that question is, do you need to actually finish the game to render an adequate review? I ended up completing it, however the truth is I really wanted to just stop playing around Chapter 6. The plotting pace didn't hold my interest, although, admittedly, the game did pick up in the last 2 chapters where I found the combat and story a bit more compelling. The truth is, the gameplay really doesn't offer enough variety to keep my interest. While the combat can be fun and the bosses can offer a challenge, I don't feel like I've done all that much different in 30 hours plus compared to 2 hours in. But I suppose I'm happy I did complete it because I'm obsessive like that. So is Eastward worth it? I suppose that depends on your taste in story compared to gameplay. I feel bad being this critical because it is an independent game which clearly had a lot of heart put into it. But there's also a lot of people out there who have given this a much greater review than I have, and I think it's just a matter of taste. For me, it just wasn't something that I glommed onto. Eastward is fun at points and slow at other points, and I just really don't have that much interest on playing it again.